Welcome back for day 21 of Witchtober. So today I wanted to do a video talking about getting out of a witchy slump. Inevitably, you're gonna hit that point where you just don't feel it for your craft anymore, and these are just a few things that I would suggest to try to help with that. Number one might seem counterintuitive, but it actually makes a difference. Take a break. Just stop trying. Don't worry about doing offerings. Don't worry about celebrating the Sabbaths. Don't worry about doing anything for the moons. Don't worry about reading more books. Don't worry about doing anything. Totally take a break. Because the reality is you might be overdoing it and burning yourself out, and giving yourself space from it might be the exact thing that you need. Plan at least a week away, if not more, and then try going back again a week, a month, 6 months, whatever, and then try again. You might have just burnt yourself out. We can do that very easily, trying to do too much, trying to study too much, trying to have witchcraft infiltrate every part of our lives, but in a forceful way instead of a more natural way that just slowly happens over time. Number two, I feel like we need to readdress and reassess what witchcraft can actually do. Because I feel like sometimes we get unrealistic expectations of our spells, we forget the basics, you get mad, and again, we go back to the classic examples of, you do a spell to get a job and then you're pissed that you don't get the job, therefore your spell failed, magic doesn't work, and it's all just a bunch of like hocus pocus. Actually, look at me go. I am actually prepared. That's what this shirt is. It's just a bunch of hocus pocus. Yeah. It's an oversized, weird fitting shirt thing. It's supposed to be that like one shoulder colder thing. That word. Those, yep. But I don't know. It feels weird being like, here's my shoulder and like my bra strap. It's weird. So I don't know. I've messed with it this whole day of recording. I'm like, I don't know, do I just like how to, anyways, nobody cares. But go back to reassess, are you expecting more out of the craft than is realistic? Because I've had that many a time where I really have to remind myself witchcraft is not going to save me. It is not going to swoop in and fix every part of my life. Being a witch means that you have to do a lot of that work, and it just changes the odds a little bit in your favor, but it adds up over time. But like we all eventually get to that point. You see a lot of the more scammy people that they just happen to have a lot of good luck and a lot of good situations happen for them, and they think that's going to happen for everybody, and they tell you that it's very easy to expect that you're going to make $1 million in a year, and that your creative endeavors are going to, take off right away, and that, through manifesting and through their very expensive program, you're going to be able to do this stuff, and you're like, well, I'm a witch, I can do it at home. And then you can't do it, and then you start to feel like you're a failure as a witch, and that maybe you do need to pay for these expensive things so that, these expensive courses, so that it can work, and you're starting to get into the unrealistic grounds of your witchcraft. Or you're expecting it to do things that it doesn't need to do. There's, handling your daily life, like for the most part, witchcraft is not going to really impact it. It's your witch mind that does it more than actual witchcraft. It's your ability to look at things, like for myself, it's very simple. When you look at the wall in front of you, what color is it and what does that color represent and how is that influencing you? It's very, very subtle, small magic, but it makes a difference. There's a reason I picked a very calming yet bright color for down here opposed to what I initially had planned, which was more of my crypt, my little layer. And it was going to be purple and gray, and those colors were super depressing, and it did not give the energy I want versus this that it does every time I look at it. Even if it's just a little bit, it makes a difference. And it's those small little witchcraft things that add up, and you have to remind yourself of those. And sometimes that's really hard. And again, going back to the first one, sometimes you just need to take a break. 3, you might just be really bored with it, and you need to explore something new entirely. I feel like sometimes you can kind of pigeonhole your way to where you only do witchcraft in a very specific way. Research and explore different things. Maybe you've never done anything with crystals, you've only been a green witch and you only use herbs and you're like really over it. Go look into rocks. Like you can go into the specific like fancy ones that you can buy at shops, or my favorite, just go outside and find random rocks and see how that goes for you. and, you know, maybe try making your own tools, make some candles, do something fun and different, research a different pantheon, research different traditions. Your library will likely have a lot, not necessarily in their location, in the county systems, and or an interloan library where you can rent from other libraries and get it sent to you. Research some different books if you want to check out mine. I would love if you did, but it's not a requirement. But, you know, read different books, read from different authors, read from a variety of different sources, look online, look at different channels. You know, you can find a lot of different information to inspire you again. And lastly, this is what I do whenever I'm in a witch slump. I kind of go through all of these, like I'll take a break. If that doesn't work, then I kind of reassess, like, am I really being unrealistic? Then I'll try looking into something new, but inevitably this is the one that I think has worked the most, and that is to go back to your basics. Where did you start? And try redoing those things. Because for me, when I get really out of whack and I'm just like feeling super not witchy, I go back to my basics. I cast circle with 5 candles and they are colored for each of the elements. That's it. I do not use any other tools. I do not use a wand. I don't use my athame. I don't have my offering drink. I don't have anything like that. I just have 5 candles. And I will just light a candle to the deity that I'm talking to. And I don't have, you know, the very specific ways that you're supposed to call upon them and list off all of their wonderful attributes. I'm just like, yo, hey, hi, I want to talk to you. And, you know, go back to whatever your basics are. For me, it's a lot of, like, my foundation, if you couldn't have guessed reading my books, is the elements. That's a big, big part of my craft. So I always go back to them, and it's really just go back to experiencing all of them in the natural state and how they exist at all times. Right now I'm a little warm because this is a sweatshirt and I'm inside of my house and it's a warm autumn. And so it's a little toasty, so fire's here. And, you know, you've also got air, obviously, constantly, all the time. And, you know, I'm craving water. I need to go drink some water after recording a week's worth of videos this morning. And, you know, I also would like some food, but also just go sit outside and just see nature. Just experience it, just watching it. There's nothing that really compares. And just getting back to the basics. Also, I will reread, if I'm in a big witch slump, I will reread Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner, because again, Scott has a way of getting in my brain. I'll sometimes rewatch his Magic of Herbs documentary thing that he made. And, you know, I'll get back to where I started, which was really my founding things is the elements and just simplicity in the craft, and just go from there. And it does take some time to get through a witchy slump. Sometimes it feels like forever and it's only been like a couple weeks or even a few months. And sometimes you just really got to reevaluate, like, what are you doing and how to fix it. You know, I was feeling very unmotivated about like the Sabbats, but also I haven't done anything for them in the ways that I used to. So going back to my basics is like, hey, we need to celebrate them in big ways and to really bring magic in, you know, again, the stupid little things. This instantly made my space feel like it's Samhain now. And to change this out for Yule in a couple weeks and, you know, deck out the place for all things Yule and making sure that I do my 13 days of Yule is like one of the ways that I'm getting out of a witchy slump. But also just, again, following these steps has really helped me a lot. And, you know, having to really reevaluate was I took a long time on that one because, again, these people, there's a lot that make really big promises that it's not realistic, and it sucks how, you know, some people just, they end up with all the luck. But, you know, it's the same thing. If you go and you buy tickets for a lottery and you hope you're going to be the winner, everyone's hoping to be the winner and only one gets to be, you know? And so, you know, that person, it's great for them, but the rest of you are like, God, why did they get to be the one? And that's kind of how it starts to feel with success in a lot of like the witchy fields and stuff, and where people do like manifestation work and then they have very successful businesses and you're over here like, hello, I would like to buy groceries, please, that'd be cool, you know? So just keeping it a little more realistic and things that are in your control, and reevaluating what exactly can witchcraft do and finding your rules and what applies. And, you know, like if you're gonna do a spell, do you really think you have the ability to kill someone from a spell or not? Or do you think it was already predestined, you know? To make sure that you don't have that guilt of like if you do a prosperity spell and then somebody dies and you get an inheritance, did you cause it? You know, if you're, that's some of the things that when you're reevaluating, there's a lot of the big questions that you have to ask yourself. So anyways, those are my thoughts. And I would love to know yours in the comments down below. A huge thank you to my patrons. If you would like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it's patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post every single day. And until next time, blessed be.